welcome back or welcome to Elements of Eloha, where I talk about things that interest me, affect me, or am very passionate about. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about when popular fandom ships finally become canon and why that's not always a good thing. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So my first experience with a popular fandom ship finally becoming canon is in the Disney Channel / Disney XD show Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Now, I love Star vs. the Forces of Evil. It was one of my favorite shows when it was airing. And I did love Starco, which is the ship between the main character Star and her best friend Marco. Now, originally when I watched the show, I didn't ship Star and Marco, but when the Blood Moon Ball episode aired, when I finally watched that episode, I did start shipping Star and Marco. I was a huge Star and Marco shipper. Sometimes I did not get to watch the episodes when they aired on Mondays, but when the Starco moments aired, I watched them over and over again. When the episode Star Crush aired and Star finally revealed her crush on Marco, when I tell you that was like a national holiday, I kept replaying that clip over and over and over again. 10-year-old me was over the moon. So once season 3 aired and after the Battle of Muni came out, the direction the writers took Starco in, whether that's like their friendship and relationship or the relationship with other characters, was very interesting to say the least. Now, by the time Star realized her feelings for Marco, Marco was already in a relationship with Jackie, and I didn't mind Marco and Jackie together. They were kind of cute. And Star's ex-boyfriend, Tom, got a redemption arc. Obviously, when we first met Tom in season 1, I did not like him at all. But with his redemption arc in season 3, I didn't mind Star and Tom together. They were very cute once he had his character development. But by the time Marco officially realized he had feelings for Star, Star and Tom had gotten back together. And one of the only black girls on the show was Kelly, and Kelly had broken up with her boyfriend Tad. So Marco and Kelly started dating for a little bit, but Kelly was really my first experience with a disposable black girlfriend trope, because after Marco and Kelly broke up, we never saw Kelly again, and Kelly was never mentioned again. Then cue the Booth Buddies episode, where Star and Marco are tricked into sharing their first kiss in the photo booth. And that also meant that Star was cheating on Tom when her and Marco kissed. So already you had the cheating trope, and then you had the disposable black girlfriend trope. And even though when I first watched it, I did think it was cute, looking back at it like 7 years later, I'm like, oh. And then season 4 was really supposed to be the season of Starco, but Star and Tom were together for most of the season. There was even an episode where Star and Marco tried to erase the romantic feelings that the both of them had for each other. Obviously, that didn't work. And Star and Tom didn't break up until the last 3-4 episodes of the series. So when it came to Star and Marco's relationship, it was very rushed. They only got together the penultimate episode of the show, and then they were immediately ripped away from each other. And like the only way that they could officially be together is if Star committed genocide and destroyed magic.
Oh. Damn,
I kid you not. The Star vs. the Forces of Evil series finale has to be one of the worst series finales I ever watched. It was horrible. I wanted Starko so bad. I was shipping Starko since I was in elementary school, but by the time it finally became canon when I was halfway through middle school and I saw how they did it, I was like, oh, if that's how you're gonna make your ship canon, honestly, it would have been better if they just remained best friends, because Starko honestly was my first big disappointment when it came to a popular fandom ship becoming canon. Moving on to teen dramas and popular fandom ships in teen dramas and just like regular adult shows. When it comes to popular fan ships and fans begging writers to make this popular fandom ship canon, what ends up happening is two things. Either one of the characters gets severely mischaracterized, or two, by the time the characters do get into a romantic relationship, the female character in that relationship ends up having her storyline severely reduced to just being dependent on the other character. Their sole purpose is now to be a love interest. And I have 3 examples that I want to highlight for this video. Now, the first example I want to use is Wildmore, which is the ship between Ryan and Sophie from Batwoman. And I love Wildmore. I love Wildmore down. They are one of my favorite ships of all time. And mostly when it comes to the enemies to lovers trope, as I've gotten older, I think I enjoy it a lot more when it's a woman loving woman ship versus a regular male x female ship. Because like, what do you mean nowadays you want a woman with someone that's with a man that's tried to kill them several times? So Wildmore's progression from enemies to friends in season 2 was very well done. And I still think in season 3, their love story was very well written. But my main issue that I had with season 3 of Batwoman is that everybody had a storyline in season 3 except Sophie. Sophie already quit her job working with the Crows because Ryan finally opened their eyes to the injustice that the Crows are committing. But Sophie really didn't have a job all of season 3. And season 3, she was really just reduced to being Ryan's love interest. There's an episode in season 3 where someone uses Mr. Freeze's gun to freeze Sophie's sister, Jordan. And so that really could have opened up a potential arc for Sophie to go after the people that did that to her sister, but the writers just never gave Sophie an arc in season 3. And I would say that really was the only downside, because season 3 definitely was the best season of Batwoman, but it could have been even better if they gave Sophie a storyline outside of her love life. The second ship I want to highlight is none other than, this is really the most infamous one, Kiara. JJ and Kiara from a little boat show called Outer Banks. Now, I knew of the ship before I watched Outer Banks, but when I watched the show for the first time, I honestly wasn't the biggest JJ and Kiara shipper. And you can obviously tell with the show that the writers really didn't feel like going there with JJ and Kiara's relationship. I can only say I somewhat started shipping JJ and Kiara in the season 2 finale of the show. But when press first started rolling out for season 3, and we saw what the Pates had to say about the main three relationships in season 3, and that's John B and Sarah, JJ and Kiara, and Pope and Cleo. When it came to the writers talking about John B and Sarah and talking about Pope and Cleo, they were very, very invested into making sure they developed their love stories properly because they enjoyed writing their love stories. But when it came to the writers talking about Giara, they made it very clear to mention that this is a popular fan ship and that the fans wanted this ship. So, oh well, let's give them the ship. So this is from an interview from Entertainment Weekly when they were teasing season 3. While John B and Sarah's relationship has always taken center stage, fans have been clutching their own hearts waiting for JJ and Kiara to fall in love. The two friends were strictly platonic in the first season, but their chemistry inspired such intense shipping on social media that the showrunners pivoted and leaned into delivering a slow burn attraction. Sure. Okay. That finally culminates as the big romance of the season. Josh promises eager GR fans. We didn't want to do it too fast, so we thought season 3 would be a good time to explore that. And I'm really pleased with the way that came out. It's some of my favorite scenes of the whole season. It's one of the things where you see fans want something so bad, and the writers clocked that, Ponko says. It was interesting to finally get to explore that as the actor. So the writers didn't originally plan for Giara to be a thing, but when Giara finally became a thing in season 3, the writers made sure to highlight, hey, it's not something we wanted originally, this is something the fans wanted, so let's just give it to the fans. And I think their love story in season 3 was okay. I do think the writers could have definitely wrote Giara's transition from friends to lovers between season 2 and 3 a lot better than what they gave the fans, but you can just tell that when it's something the writers don't want to do, they're gonna half bake it and just give you a here damn romance. And when it came to how they wrote Giara season 3 versus how they wrote Giara season 4, you can definitely tell the Pates were like, oh damn, all right, we made this ship canon. Now we actually have to write them in a relationship. And how they decided to write both JJ and Kiara in season 4 was kind of sad because they regressed their characters very much. Like, why is it that when JJ and Kiara weren't even in a relationship, JJ was giving Pope pointers on what to do to woo Kiara? And then when season 4 came out and JJ and Kiara had already been in a relationship for 2 years, you mean to tell me that they've never been on a date? Kiara had to nag JJ into taking her on a date, and they ended up going on a spontaneous peer date. When it came to the whole thing in season 4B where Groff, his biological dad, ended up locking Kiara in the cooler, he was pretty nonchalant about that. And then they literally did not give Kiara anything to do outside of JJ in season 4. She was literally just there to be JJ's keeper. I was thinking that they would have given her a proper storyline when it came to the tension that she had with her parents, because her relationship with JJ is one of the primary sources of their tension. But no. So honestly, when it came to season 4, Giara just fell flat. Like, this was the story that they said was the big slow burn of the show, and then when you finally get it, the writers were just writing it like somebody put a gun to their head. And they wrote Kiara like how a good chunk of Giara fans see Kiara. They don't see her as her own person outside of JJ. They literally just reduce her to being JJ's girlfriend, which is why by the time they had killed off JJ in season 4, they were saying that they should kill off Kiara too, because like, who is Kiara without JJ? Which was so nasty. Kiara, even though her boyfriend is dead, She should still be able to live her own life. Her life isn't over because she lost her boyfriend at 19. The bar is kind of low for the Pates, but I do hope that they give Kiara a proper storyline in season 5 that isn't just focused on grieving JJ. Now, the next ship I want to talk about isn't exactly canon yet, but fans of this ship are pressuring the writers to make this ship canon, and that is Wenclair, the ship between Wednesday and Enid on Wednesday. So, with Wednesday and Enid's relationship, I do like the whole opposites attract thing, and I love their friendship. But when it came to headcanons, I always saw Wednesday as asexual. I do think the love triangle aspect was one of the weakest parts of Wednesday, because it's so clear that Wednesday really did not show much interest in either of them. So I was like, if I had to pick between the two, it would be Tyler. But once his mask slipped, I'm like, oh, yeah, really, they can just throw this whole love triangle away. So for the most part, they did that with Wednesday in season 2. But then they still stuck Enid in this love triangle between Ajax and Bruno, a new werewolf that was introduced in season 3. And honestly, I think the writers of Wednesday just need to hang it up when it comes to these love triangles, because they don't eat. They suck. They're very lackluster. They're boring. Stop it. And with that, I also would say that I am perfectly fine with Wenclair staying a platonic ship. I don't really think they need to become canon, because even with a lot of Wenclair's wanting the writers of the show to make the ship canon, I see a lot of people mischaracterizing Enid and wanting Enid to just be Wednesday's yes man, when that's not Enid's character at all. So the whole plot in Wednesday season 2 revolves around Wednesday having a vision that Enid is gonna die, and she tries to do everything in her power to save Enid. And you know, with psychics, they only get a gaze into the future, a glimpse of the future. So in order to try and prevent the glimpse of the event they see in the future, they end up messing up everything in the present and making things a lot worse, which is what she ends up doing. So there's this scene that's coming up in part 2 of Wednesday where Enid did talk about Wednesday trying to prevent Enid's death, but Enid still does not know that. And in doing so, she released a zombie that her brother had brought back to life that was locked up. And she also released Tyler that was kept in that same psychiatric hospital. So yeah, Enid did call out Wednesday for making things worse.
Tyler's still out there. He has plans to kill both of us. I'm going to fix it. Fix it? You're the reason he escaped.
She's got a point.
Stay out of this. Who are you talking to? No one.
And then I saw some Wenclair saying, Enid will never say that. And I'm thinking to myself, do you guys even know Enid? This is the same Enid that constantly called out Wednesday on her BS last season. She even moved out of their dorm last season because she was fed up with Wednesday's antics. With Wednesday having these visions and trying to prevent the murders, yes, she did end up making things a lot worse. She may have good intentions, but the execution is very bad. And that's one of the things I do like about Enid. Even though she is a ray of sunshine, she is not defenseless at all. And she is not afraid to tell it like it is. She is not afraid to call Wednesday out on her nonsense, but she still sticks by her side. If Enid never criticized Wednesday on her actions at all in season 1, then honestly, I wouldn't enjoy their dynamic as much as I did. And I'm telling you, if the writers do choose to make Gwen Claire canon, it won't be because they like the ship. They would write it out of spite, like the Pates did for Giara in season 4. And honestly, I don't want that. Wednesday and Enid, I love their individual storylines and I love the friendship they have together, but definitely if they were to become canon, you would definitely see Enid getting sidelined because a lot of people just would reduce her to being a potential love interest for Wednesday, and the writers would take note on that and write Enid like that. And honestly, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. And I hope the writers don't even think about trying to put Wednesday and Tyler back together because, again, no. To be honest, Wednesday being Ace would have made so much more sense for this particular adaptation of Wednesday, but here we are, stuck with a bunch of lackluster romance. And honestly, if you are looking for a Tim Burton project of all projects to deliver on LGBTQ plus rep, when this was the same man that said black people don't fit his aesthetic, don't even try to get your hopes up. Please, don't do that. But yeah, when it comes to ships, honestly, it's fan input is good. And honestly, when it comes to ships, it's a lot better for writers to either write it from the beginning or clock actors' chemistry and write towards that because they'll enjoy writing it, rather than taking note of a popular ship in fandom and having the fans pressure the writers into doing that. And in doing that, how they write the ship is just very horrible, and it feels like they're writing in spite rather than enjoying writing the ship. So anyways, y'all, that is the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe, and check out my last video right here. Anyways, y'all, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.